Have you ever wondered if the most terrifying creatures in the world are the ones you can't see coming? Not the giant beasts with claws and fangs, but the tiny ones. The ones that crawl, buzz, and bite without making a sound. These are the real assassins of nature. Creatures that don't chase you down, don't roar to scare you, and don't need strength to win. They simply wait. And when the moment is right, they strike, with surgical precision. What you're about to discover is a side of the natural world that S rarely talked about. One where the line between life and death can be measured in microns. The width of a sting, the heat of a venom, the timing of an infection. Let's start with something deceptively familiar. The tick. Not just any tick, though. The so-called star tick, common in rural areas of Brazil. It looks like a harmless speck. You might brush it off your arm without thinking twice. But this little creature is the primary carrier of Brazilian spotted fever, a disease caused by a deadly bacterium known as Rickettsia rickettsii. What makes it so terrifying is its silence. You don't feel the bite. There's no warning. By the time you develop symptoms, fever, chills, body aches, the bacteria may already be attacking your organs. Without quick treatment, the chances of survival plummet. Some cases progress so quickly that even experienced doctors are caught off guard. And what does this teach us? That nature doesn't always scream when it's about to kill. Sometimes it whispers. These ticks live in tall grass, on farm animals, and even on pets that we welcome into our homes. Children playing in open fields might be one step away from being infected by a bacteria that has no remorse. And even when we know the risks, how often do we truly prepare for a threat we can't see or feel? Maybe the real question is, how many dangers do we overlook every single day just because they're quiet? From South America to Africa, the nightmare continues. The tsetse fly, for instance, is not much larger than a housefly, but it carries something far more sinister, the Trypanosoma brucei parasite. When this parasite enters your bloodstream, it doesn't just make you sick. It begins to systematically dismantle your brain. That's why the disease it causes is known as African trypanosomiasis, or sleeping sickness. Victims begin by feeling tired, then confused, then emotionally unstable, and eventually they fall into a deep, irreversible coma. It's not just a disease. It's a slow erasure of identity. Communities affected by this illness have witnessed people become unrecognizable versions of themselves before slipping into death. Even more chilling is how the fly operates. It doesn't need a reason to bite. It doesn't distinguish between rich or poor, child or adult. And once infected, there's little time. The brain is not just a battlefield. It becomes the casualty. Scientists still don't fully understand why this parasite evolved to target the nervous system. Was it random chance? Or is there something deeper, something intentional, in how nature selects its victims? But maybe pain is the point, and no creature proves this better than the bullet ant. Found in the jungles of Central and South America, this ant delivers the most painful insect sting known to man. The pain is not just physical. It's existential. Victims often describe a complete detachment from reality, as if their nervous system is on fire and the brain can no longer distinguish between what S real and what S imagined. And the agony doesn't stop after a few minutes. It can last 24 hours or more, with intense waves of burning, throbbing pain. Why would evolution create such torment in such a small package? Some biologists suggest it's purely defensive, a way to say back off to predators. But others argue that pain, in this case, is a form of communication, a biological warning system that ensures its survival not through death, but through fear. In some Amazonian tribes, boys must endure dozens of bullet ant stings as part of their initiation into adulthood. Imagine wearing gloves filled with these ants and keeping them on while dancing. The fact that this ritual exists speaks volumes about how deeply the natural world shapes culture, tradition, and even our concept of manhood. Then there's the kissing bug. It sounds sweet, right? It isn't. This insect is one of the most deceptive killers on the planet. It waits until you're asleep, creeps onto your face and bites, often near your lips or eyes. But the real danger isn't the bite, it's what comes after. The bug defecates on the wound, and in its feces is a parasite known as Trypanosoma cruzi, the cause of Chagas disease. This illness can take years to show symptoms, but when it does, the results are devastating: heart failure, gastrointestinal damage, and sudden death. What makes this even more horrifying is where it happens. In poor, rural homes with cracked walls and thatched roofs, places where families sleep close together, unaware of the monster sharing their room. Children are the most vulnerable, and in many cases, they never even know what hit them. The parasite hides in the body for years before it starts its final attack. This is not just a health issue. It's a reminder of how poverty and biology collide in the cruelest ways. If death through infection wasn't enough, nature also designed killers who use venom as their language. Enter the black widow spider. Shiny, sleek, with that iconic red hourglass marking. She doesn't hunt humans. But when she bites, the consequences are unforgettable. Her venom is a neurotoxin that affects the entire body. Muscles cramp, chest tightens, and in severe cases, hallucinations occur. Victims often describe a sensation of being paralyzed while fully conscious. It's like being trapped inside your own body. And just when you think it can't get more poetic, remember, the black widow gets her name from a macabre habit. In some species, the female devours the male after mating, a perfect symbol of beauty and death intertwined. But here, says the twist, maybe we fear the black widow not just because of what she is, but because of what she represents. A creature that plays by her own rules, that survives on her own terms. And isn't that the kind of power we secretly fear? But death doesn't always come with fangs. Sometimes it wears a disguise. In Brazil, there exists a caterpillar so deceptive it could be mistaken for a plush toy, but its body is covered with venomous spines. Touching it, even accidentally, can cause internal bleeding, massive inflammation, and organ failure. Victims report feeling a burning pain that radiates through their limbs, accompanied by dizziness and nausea. In severe cases, it leads to death within hours. What's even more disturbing is how easy it is to come into contact with one. They hide on leaves, tree trunks, and even in urban gardens. Children are especially vulnerable, drawn by its fuzzy appearance, unaware of the danger. It's a harsh reminder that in nature, appearance means nothing. Beneath the softness lies a biochemical arsenal, and the message is clear: trust is a luxury the wild cannot afford. Then comes a horror that doesn't kill from the outside, but from within. The blowfly, also known as the botfly, lays its eggs on the skin of mammals, including humans. Once hatched, the larvae burrow beneath the skin and begin feeding on live flesh. Victims often describe a crawling sensation, followed by pain and swelling. In some cases, the larvae can be seen moving under the skin, alive, growing, thriving. It's the ultimate invasion. Your body becomes a home for something that's eating you alive. And the psychological trauma is often worse than the physical one. The idea that something is living inside you, feeding on you without your consent, is almost too much to process. Yet for millions in tropical climates, this isn't fiction. It's a medical reality, one that raises deep questions about how life uses life and how nature doesn't ask for permission. And finally, we arrive at the most dangerous creature of them all, the mosquito. Small, fragile-looking, almost harmless, until you realize it's responsible for more deaths than any war, famine, or natural disaster in human history. Malaria alone kills hundreds of thousands each year. Add dengue, Zika, chikungunya, yellow fever, and the numbers skyrocket. This is not an insect. This is a biological missile. The mosquito's secret weapon is speed and stealth. It injects saliva into your bloodstream as it feeds, saliva that can contain parasites or viruses. The bite is quick, painless, you barely notice it, and then, days or weeks later, your body begins to collapse. In many parts of the world, just one mosquito bite is enough to change a life forever. And despite centuries of scientific effort, we still haven't defeated it. Why? Because mosquitoes adapt. They evolve faster than we can counter them. They find new breeding grounds, new hosts, new ways to spread. So what do all these creatures have in common? They remind us that size does not equal safety, that death can come quietly, that nature is full of elegant, efficient killers, some that fit in the palm of your hand. And perhaps the most terrifying lesson of all is this: the world isn't dangerous because of the things we can see. It's dangerous because of the things we never notice until it's too late.